Welcome, everybody. This is Dave Stelma. That's who I am. You are watching Dave Stelma TV. No, I'm kidding. Dave Stelma. You can find me at davestelma.com. Tonight, we are talking about your past, your present, your future. And we're going to see if we can make peace with your past so that you can progress with the present and into the future in developing your business. We're also going to check on a few things and hopefully remove the things that are blocking you from moving forward in your business and in your life, because your life is your business and your business is your life, right? There you go. Well, welcome. I'm Dave Stelma, where I mentor, coach, and inspire entrepreneurs and people, individuals, to their breakthrough success. Your past leads to your present and then goes on to your future, right? What I will, I'm going to give you a few questions tonight, so I'm going to give you some time to go get a paper and pen and get things ready and revved up. Last week, got some great responses. I should talk about last week. Went through some questions, some laser coaching questions, and got a great response from people that were pretty inspired. And once again, welcome, Courtney. Welcome, Ember. They're pretty inspired. I got some great feedback on that. I think that is a great thing. It helps people get clarity. And I'm going to, over the next couple of weeks, that's what I'm going to work on first. I'm going to give you some questions that you can ask of yourself. It's great if you can work with a coach to get this through, but some people can't afford a coach. Some people are not to that place yet, but we're going to get you to a better place. So once again, I have a cold tonight. So you're going to see me drink lots of water probably over the next half hour. Forgive me for my gravelly voice. That's the word I'm looking for. Gravelly voice. So making peace with your past. There's things in your past that are always going to hold you back. Could be things that your parents said to you. Could be things that teachers have said to you over the years, or maybe even just once back when that said you were not good at something, and so you gave up. I probably had a few times that happened. I remember the opposite too. Probably one of the things that always stuck into my mind was when way back, I was probably like 13 years old. It was a talent show and went out on stage, started to play and sang, and then I made the mistake that everybody does. I looked out at the audience and I froze. Dun, dun, dun. Well, that stuck with me for a lot of years. I froze and then I got embarrassed, and you get that heat that rises up through you. And then what I do, I had one you either push on through or you and I walked off stage. So that stuck with me for a while. And it took quite a while to kind of get things back together. Even at 13, it kind of sticks with you. I pushed through, and then I played in many bands for quite a few years, many bands throughout the years, and did well, and I think I'm okay with that. But it took a while to push on through that. Now, what did I have to do? I had to remove that block that was in there. I mean, right after it, I was like, I'm no good. You start doubting yourself. You got telling yourself certain things. Luckily, I had a few people that were around me that just said, hey, you had a bad day. Hey Todd, how are you? Yeah, Crash Davis rules. That was one of the old bands. That was quite a few years after that, though. Um, and once again, forgive me. I have this cold, so I hope I don't annoy you with that. But I had to do things to unlayer that onion, as they say. They like to say, and get things done and get that out of my mind so that I could move back into doing that. Having, doing music. Music was a great part of my life. I mean, I love, and I strongly suggest that even if you're a bad singer, crank up the tunes in the car and just go at it. It can take a bad day and make it good, but how do you get rid of those things that are blocking you from success? Well, I have a few right here. So, here's a series of questions, and I hope you have your pad of paper and your pencil ready, or pen. First off, you have to identify the things in your life. What area in your life are you having a hard time creating, or what you want, creating what you want, or an area where you feel stuck? Find that area and work at one. Just find one. Don't make a list of different things. Let's do one at a time. And that's what we're going to do. It's just like peeling an onion. You're going to do one layer at a time, and that's what we're going to do here. So think of that one area. And then, like I was describing before, what does it feel like when you're trying to achieve that reality? When you're trying to do that and that you have that block there, what does it feel like? That feeling that's in there. Think of your body. Like I said, I was sitting out there, and then the heat starts to rise up. You're feeling embarrassed. You feel scared. You, all those things. You get that heat that rises up through you, and you're like, ah. And every so often, something may happen. Like in my life, something may happen. So scan your body, and then that all of a sudden that triggers it, right? So scan your body. Think of where you feel it. Where do you feel it? Is it in your abdomen? Is it in your shoulders? A lot of people will crunch up in their shoulders, and then that reminds them, they feel it up through their shoulders and their shoulder blades and their neck. And then I'm sure you probably have a friend, or someone who keeps getting these headaches, right? And because they have all their tension up through their neck and their shoulders and their shoulder blades, and they're like that. That comes from something. That's a habit that's formed from that. They may be nervous. They may have something, and it triggers it, and it goes back, right? So where do you feel it, though? Where do you feel it? I'm just giving you a few examples. Where do you feel it? And put a description to that feeling. Where it is. How big is it? What does it look like? Close your eyes, and what does it look like to you? What does it look? First you feel, and then what does it look like to you? What color is it? Is it warm? Is it hot? What color is it? Does it have a texture to it? Identify it. Identify with it. That's the first thing you have to do. Or the next thing you have to do, I should say. Now, let yourself feel any emotions or feelings that are present in it. What do you, when I had that heat rising up through me, I was feeling all those different things, those different emotions. Sadness, failure. I failed. I practiced and practiced, and I got out there, and then I failed to fulfill doing that, so then once you get that emotion and that feelings with it, now you can identify it, where it is, the feelings that it brings out of you. Now, when you have that with what's currently going on, now I'm talking about a past in there, but when you have something that's blocking you currently and you get that feeling, now you have to reverse and go back. With me, every time I get that embarrassment, that failure feeling, it takes me back to like that time. It takes me back to when I first failed. I didn't fulfill it. I quit. All of a sudden, in my mind, I was labeled a quitter. I was labeled embarrassed. I was sad. I was all these different things that were in there, and I identify it. Excuse me again. I'm sorry. But find where it goes back. Most people go back farther than that. They'll find something that was when they were 5 years old, somewhere between 1 and 8. A lot of times you can go back even earlier. For some reason, this stuck in the core of my soul on this one. Now, when you go back to that time, now have a conversation with yourself right now. If you today could go back then and coach that person, what would you say to him? What would you say to your younger self? It's okay. You'll survive. It's not the last thing in the world. You're going to do well. You're going to do some pretty terrific things later on. You're going to learn from this experience, and you're going to learn that you need to have more confidence. In this case, I'm going to talk about, you're going to go on to play in a lot of bars. I played in many bar bands over the years and did okay, got out there, got to speak in front of audiences, get to teach classes. And later on, when you even learn more things in life, you're going to be able to do things like this, a Facebook live show, and you'll be doing great. And you're going to lose some of your hair, though. That's what I would tell my younger self. You're going to lose some of that hair, so relish the moment with your hair. No, I'm just kidding. But now, go farther. Now, to yourself today, think of yourself out when you're 80 years old. Okay, now go forward. Go into the future. Think of yourself at 80. What are you going to tell yourself today? Probably the same thing. It'll be okay. Don't worry about money. Don't worry about things like that. Relish your family. And remember when you used to have hair when you were 53? But write these questions down. Go back and questions, comments, steps. Go back. Think of when your older self. Go project yourself out when you're 80 years old, and then reflect back. Tell yourself now. It's the same thing I would have told myself back then. Don't. And back then it was trauma, right? There was trauma there because that stuck in my mind. So there's a strong emotion that went with that. So there was trauma there. So, now make peace with it. You did great, and let it go. But find those things in your past and let's remove those blocks, because those are things that will stick with you. A parent telling you can't do well. I remember as Jack Canfield tells a story about a writer who, throughout her high school days and school days, wrote on the school newspaper, did really well, got a scholarship to Harvard, went to Harvard, took a writing class and went in the first day, and the writing assignment, turned it in, and the professor gave her an F. And fast forward in the conversation, she's like, I've never had an F before. I've written for all these, the newspaper. I've written for the yearbook. I've done all these things. Everyone told me I was a great writer. I've written a play. It was awesome. And fast forward, and that conversation, the professor's like, no, you're an awful writer. You should never do this. I'll make you a deal. I'll give you a C in the class so that you can maintain your scholarship. But if you promise to never write again. And that person, that woman, went on to write Jewel of the Nile, and other books, novels, and everything later on in life. But for 17 years after that professor told her not to write, she didn't write a thing ever until she met with some reporters one day. And the reporters were like, she congratulated them and said, you're reporting on this story. And I always wanted to be a writer, but I was told I was never a good writer. So I just gave up on my dream of writing. And long story short, they said, send us some of your writings and let us know. And they introduced her to an agent, and the agent actually published book, got her a contract, and published her books and everything. And she's now a multimillionaire. Now, in our own lives, there's going to be people that tell us that we can't do something. There's going to be people that will tell us, add trauma or something to us. And so you have to work through those steps that I gave you, and work through those steps. Let's just stop there. Work through those steps and do those, and unblock yourself so that you can move forward in your life. Hi, Janet. How are you doing? You can move forward and start developing your business, start developing just in your life in general, just moving forward in your life and creating a positive life, even more positive than you're doing now. The next thing I want to talk about, unless someone has questions on that. You have any questions? Nope, no questions. Okay. I'm just kidding. The next thing I want to do is let's eliminate the guilt that people give you. You're probably going to have some guilt in your relationships, business relationships. There can be some guilt in there, all the way from a client not they want you 24/7. And you're like, no, I have a family life. It could be some guilt there. You're not working hard enough. I know if you work for someone, you're never going to work hard enough. Every job that I've ever had, there's the boss person is always going to say, you got to do it faster. You got to do it. You got to do more. You got to do more. You got to do more. You should work more hours, less pay, more hours, less pay. Right. And that's not what is in balance with any of our lives. We want to work less for more pay. And that's what owning your business can do. You're in control. You can, how much money do you want to make this year? That's how hard you're going to work. If all of a sudden you hit your goal by November, you could take all of December off, right? So how hard you work and how much you want to make is all in your control when you own your own business. And yes, there's going to be sometimes that you're working 24/7, it almost feels like, but you're going to reap the rewards of that also. So the next one I want to talk about is going to be guilt. Who is that? Who are all those people that are throwing that guilt on you? First off, we got to look at that. So what is the action or non-action that you feel guilty about? Let's analyze that. Where does that guilt come from? What belief do you have? Because it's all beliefs and behavior, right? That's the balance between those two. You have belief and you have behavior, and then you have to balance. It's when you're out of balance of those two, if your behavior doesn't represent your beliefs, then there's guilt in there, right? If the two don't equal each other. So if you have a belief, a behavior of some sort, and your belief, the easiest one is stealing. How's that? We'll go with that. If you go out and steal things, but then your belief system says thou shall not steal, right? There you go. Your parents said don't steal those things. That's bad karma, right? You don't go and steal things. So then your behavior isn't in balance with your beliefs. You have to get those in balance. So what we do, we don't steal. Thou shalt not steal. We don't steal. We're good with that. They're in balance. But that's where guilt comes in, is when your behavior isn't in balance with your belief. So, what is the belief about yourself, and what action do you need to take? So, there's an action in there that's making you feel guilty. And then what is your belief and the should about yourself that does that action or that non-action violate? What does it violate in there? Third, then, question you have to ask yourself, what is unrealistic about that belief that you have? In this case, your belief is thou shalt not steal, right? I should bring it into a business aspect, though, right? Let's do that. So if you have a belief that's there, like good people work until the job is done. How's that? But now your behavior is, I'm going to have to zip out at 5 because I have a softball game, or better yet, I have to be home with the kids, so I got to leave at 5, and this job isn't totally complete. So now you have something that's out of, you have a little guilt there. You left the job before it was totally completed. Excuse me. You left the job before it was totally completed, but your belief is that people should work all, until that job is done. So now you're out of whack on that. Now, what do you have to tell yourself about it? What is unrealistic about that belief? Well, people can't always, your family comes first. How's that? Your family comes first, so you want to be home with your family, so you leave. You have to work till I didn't get the job totally done. I had to leave at 5 to go home and be with my family. So then now that's unrealistic that you work all the time. So in relation to the action, can you change your past behavior? Yes. You're either going to change the behavior or you're going to change your belief. That's to get them in balance. And that's what you have to do. So the behavior would be, I'm going to work. I'll make a phone call. I can't come home, honey. I'm going to be here until this job is done. And it may take till 9 o'clock, or, and so you may work till 9 o'clock. Then that would be in balance with people get their job done totally before they can go home. Or you do the opposite. I'm leaving at 5. Now my belief is family comes first. I will do the best I can, but I always will leave at 5 o'clock so that I can be with my family. That could be the thing. So that's the only way that you're going to eliminate that guilt in between. Okay? So, and hopefully that makes sense. But that's one of the things that you have to strive for, is you have to eliminate that guilt along the way. If you're not guilty, if you're not guilty, Your Honor, but if you don't feel guilt is a negative feeling. And so if you don't feel guilt, that's one less negative thing you have to deal with. It's all positive that you are dealing with at that point. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So, is there a change of your behavior ahead? So, you're either going to change the behavior or you're going to change your beliefs, but analyze those things. So, every time you feel guilt, analyze it. There's a behavior and there's a belief that's involved. Which one are you going to change to be in balance? And it's okay. You're going to have to change one or the other. If you feel guilt in any way, shape, or form, or someone makes you feel guilty in any shape or form, then you have to come to grips with that. And you don't necessarily have to talk to the person about it if they're making you feel guilty. It could be something as simple as that you just come to that understanding yourself. Because if you don't with that person, what does that turn into? I can hear it out there. Someone said it. Did someone say it? Resentment. Bum, bum, bum. You're going to resent that person. Similar process. You have to, resentment and guilt go together. And that's what you have to eliminate. So if you do have resentment towards someone, start analyzing that. Who do you resent? What action do you resent them for? Those two things go hand in hand, and change that behavior. What belief or expectation about them that needs to be changed? What is unrealistic about your beliefs and expectations? Because that's your belief, again, is going to be out of sync. Can you change them or their action? Yes or no on that one. Can you change them? Can you change yourself? Yes. That's the easier one to do. You have to be open to change, and because you're one of two things. You're either growing as a person or you're dying, because there's no status quo. There's no staying still. You know that with sales, either your sales are growing in your business or they're dying. There's no like, oh, we flatlined this year. No, you don't. Flatline means that you're going down because inflation's going up. Everything else is going up in the meantime. I got to use this side, right? Here we go. Everything else is going up in the meantime. So sales can never be flat. Well, your life is the same way. You can't just stay at this level. You're either growing in your relationships or your relationships are dying. So you have to constantly work on those. You have to water those flowers so that you get some big blooms, right? That's what you have to do. So relationships are the same way. So identify those blocks. Identify what's out there. You're your biggest critic. You see things, all of us look at ourselves under a microscope, and we're going to be our biggest critics to that. I have a hard time smelling the roses. We get done doing something, building something, growing the business, and instead of going, oh, I hit my goal, I hit things like that, I just think of the next goal. And so I have a hard time on that, and I constantly am striving to improve on that, because that's something where you're training yourself, you're training your brain. If you celebrate and have joy in your life over a goal that you hit in your business or life, family, then you're going to you're going to get more of that. You're training your brain that you like that. You want more love. You want more things going, more positive in your life. And so it's constant work, right? There you go. I keep looking at our clock here because it looks like our time is ticking down here. We have a few final minutes. Well, once again, it is National Hot Chocolate Day. Don't know if in the pre-show I mentioned that popped up. It's National Hot Chocolate Day. So go get yourself an extra chocolate hot chocolate. I was reminiscing about my mom earlier, how she used to make it in a little saucepan with some milk and some cocoa powder and all that good stuff. And that's how you used to make it in the old days. Now you get a packet, you heat up some hot water in the microwave and you throw the packet in there, and that's hot cocoa, I guess, right? So this week, I give you as your work assignment, let's get rid of those blocks. Let's unblock ourselves and look at ourselves, identify it. When you're feeling a certain feeling, nervousness, jealousy, anger, whatever it is, where does that come from? Where do you feel it in your body? Identify it, put a label on it. Go back to when you originally felt that, as reflect upon it as soon as you can. Write these things down, identify it, and let's kick it out the door, because it's holding you back. Anytime you feel any of that negative energy, it's holding you back in your life and your business. And once you eliminate those, all that flows is positive. Positive things will come to you. Positive things will flow through you. Everything will be great. So hopefully this was good for you, informative. Leave me a comment after the show. Leave me a comment on there. I go through and edit this out, and I edit off the first 10 minutes of the pre-show, and it'll be on the YouTube channel. You also see a link to the YouTube channel down there. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as my Facebook page, and you'll get notified when these come on. I'm Dave Stelma. I thank you for being with me tonight, and I'm here every Tuesday at 6:30 Central Time. We start the pre-show 10 minutes earlier than that, so at 6:20. So if you can come on the pre-show and let me know if you have any questions or comments then. Otherwise, I'm here every Tuesday at 6:30 Central Time. I'm Dave Stelma. You can find me at davestelma.com or on YouTube at Dave Stelma or at Facebook at Dave Stelma. And you'll also be here every week, and this is where I mentor, coach, and inspire individuals and entrepreneurs to their breakthrough success. See you next week. Bye-bye.